Hi, I'm James McGuire, and on today's eSpeaks, we're talking about digital self-service solutions, including the role that artificial intelligence plays in these solutions. To discuss that, I'm joined by an industry expert. With me is Elizabeth Tobey, Head of Marketing, Digital Solutions for NICE. Elizabeth, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited about this.
So, digital self-service solutions, there's a lot going on in this area, a lot of new developments. But before we dive in, let's stop and define the term. When you refer to digital self-service, what do you mean? Are we talking about a chatbot?
We are talking about a chatbot, but it's more a yes and situation. Really, what you think about when you think about digital self-service is anything where a customer or consumer is trying to help themselves. So for us, that's a pretty wide spectrum. It can be anything from searching for an answer, starting at Google, to being on a website and interfacing. So that could be guidance, even knowledge management. And yes, chatbots and IVAs and other interactions there. But self-service can also flow in and out between bot-led or AI-led interactions or customer-led ones and that human agent interaction and back again. So that's another really important angle to think about.
Okay, good to know. So, of course, AI is a big part of this. I mean, AI gets all the headlines these days. I mean, what role does artificial intelligence play in automating customer interactions and providing a personalized experience through self-service solutions?
Yeah, there's a lot of really great ways you can use AI these days to help collaborate with the customer and honestly with agents and employees throughout the company to help make these experiences better. So if we think about going to a website and trying to ask a question or solve a problem, we've historically had issues with the bots not being able to completely understand us or to give a specialized answer that's personalized to the actual question to really get to the heart of what we're asking, that intent. With AI now, we do have models to understand everyone's utterances and to be able to figure out what the best outcome will be there. But also with this unlocking of generative AI technology, those responses feel really human-like and are very personalized specifically to what you're asking. So that paradigm of needing to search multiple times or ask multiple questions with a rigid sort of spectrum of query words or reading multiple knowledge-based FAQs, that can go away. And now we're going to be able to unlock this much more bot-led, AI-led conversation that will actually get us the answers that we need.
Interesting. So, and the other interesting thing about AI, of course, is it gets better over time. So that answer in May might be even better when it's answered in October or November. So it's always improving itself.
Yeah, and one of the things we really think is very important about this is one, having a unified platform that allows all interactions to feed into one centralized location, but also to have knowledge be at the center of this. And that means, yes, all of the data and all of the models that come in from all the historical information that we at NICE have been collecting and refining for years and years and years, but also the company itself, your knowledge base, your information. What is true in January is going to be different in February, March, June, as products change, as needs change, as different pieces of your systems change and your catalog evolves. And
Mm.
having that change immediately impact the AI and have the AI be able to be utilizing that and immediately impacting the differences and the changes for both employees and for customers, it's a huge difference for customer experience and for self-service to always be on point and up to date with that knowledge.
Okay. Well, let's talk about customer experience. I mean, how do you ensure your digital self-service solutions align with the company's overall customer experience strategy objectives?
Yeah, so that's a really interesting question and will be different for every company. And our point of view, one of the things we like to start with is something that we call Enlighten XO, which stands for experience optimization. And this is a set of models that can go in and help figure out right from the beginning where there might be gaps in your knowledge, gaps in your self-service, and which ones you can plug, fill, add in these flows and are ready for automation that can help have the biggest impact to your business. And again, when I say impact, that sounds kind of vague because what that means for every company will be slightly different. So these models and this experience optimization can be tuned based on those needs and objectives. And then you'll almost have a proof of concept and a proof of value to get started to not only understand where you're going to be able to get the biggest impact, but also where there might be gaps that you may not have even realized when you started asking the question that have a more urgent need. And that's a way to get started quickly and make sure that you're actually filling the needs of the business based on the value and the customer demand.
Well, let's talk about that impact and how you measure success. I mean, how should the success and effectiveness of digital self-service solutions be measured in terms of customer experience improvement?
Yeah, again, I don't think there's going to be a single answer there. I would say that it's, again, one of those yes and situations. A lot of companies are struggling with hiring and retaining. The amount of scale and the pressures there, a lot of folks can't keep up. So how do we make sure that we can facilitate that and help augment that to release that pain? Everyone's trying to figure out how to be the most efficient in terms of cost. And also, we know that consumers are far more savvy and have far higher expectations. So it's important to not just think about the nuts and bolts of the hiring and the cost structure, but also about that loyalty, that retention. And so trying to vector in on all of those pieces is really important. But again, some folks might be thinking about lowest handle time, fastest time to resolution, keeping those cost downs for that customer, or retention if you're a subscription business, or if you're very, very premium, so that loyalty, high expectations experience is the paramount piece of your KPIs, being able to vector towards that. And with Enlighten, our solution, we can be able to help tailor and tune those different vectors based on what every company needs, based on those demands, and individualize it and personalize that experience.
Okay, so it's a flexible solution. How does NICE ensure that digital self-service solutions remain scalable and adaptable as the company grows and evolves?
Yeah, that's a great one. And again, not everyone is starting at the same place. And we really think about it from an interactions point of view. Yes, there's the paradigm of having seats that is not going to go away. But the idea here is really about interactions. So let's say that we want to take 100% of your human-led interactions, and some of those are not necessary for the agents to be spending their time on. That cognitive load could be used on more impactful, more resource heavy, more really nuanced interactions. So let's say we can deflect some of those and make them into those automated experiences with this AI-led digital self-service. That in that way would be taking, something that might be a couple hundred or a couple thousand interactions, but as that different workflow scales and catches on and is useful and is impactful and is maybe even preferred by your customers, you'll start to see that scale up. And it's that kind of flexibility when you think about number of interactions that allows you to start small and go big quickly, or vice versa. And it gives you a lot more flexibility and a lot more understanding of where you're going to go when you're even thinking about scale and resourcing and forecasting.
Interesting. Well, what about certain demographics among the audience? I mean, how can businesses address the potential challenges of customer resistance to digital self-service, especially among the less tech-savvy demographics? Some people would prefer not to deal with digital self-service.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be an issue of one thing over the other. I think we are moving more and more into a world where choice and personal preference is very important. And I think that from an employee and a customer angle, that is being embraced more and more by companies everywhere. And so this isn't really about forcing folks into something that they may or may not want to interact with, but more giving them the options that work with their life and their time and their preferences. So the person who wants to call because that is what they like to do or that is what they need to do, that's great. Someone who only has time for emails or prefers to do their own work and their own homework on a website, we want to be able to facilitate that. Same as using whatever channel you have of choice, whether it's business chat, whether it's instant messaging on Instagram. We want to be able to have all of those channels that make sense for every company available for those customers. So it's not a holistic or one size fits all solution. It's really about turning on and empowering those different channels and selections that make sense for the customer company paradigm and relationship to strengthen that bond. Really, if you're not able to build that relationship in the long term, you're going to falter. And so for us, that's really what we're looking for, is more of freedom of choice and to serve the way you need. And that even does mean that preferences will change based on time of day and even part of life. For me, sometimes I would rather talk on the phone. For other companies and other issues, I would rather do it myself or just deal with it on email. So again, even through one individual person, those preferences can change moment by moment.
And I would imagine they would all change over the course of months and quarters. I mean, who wants to be in the phone and who doesn't want to be in the phone? That percentage could change over the course of the year or over a multi-year, clearly.
Exactly. And, trying to delay a delivery that I need or, deflect a subscription or upgrade or downgrade, that might be something that I can do more asynchronously and leisurely. But if I realize I've messed something up and there's an urgent pressing need, yeah, maybe I'm going to be grabbing chat or wanting to find a bot that can talk to me immediately or even picking up the phone. All of those things we want to be able to facilitate and make sure that we have those experiences for folks at all times. It's really on their demand.
I think that word asynchronous is a really interesting word. And what you mean, in other words, people don't need it in real time. I might send an email because they don't need an answer for a few hours, or they need chat immediately. So it needs to happen right now. So that asynchronous seems really, really core to this.
Yeah, and honestly, even with the real-time chat that you think about, I still think about that in a persistent asynchronous way. If you think about talking with friends and family, you don't have that situation where if somebody doesn't respond to you in 2 minutes, you say, "Are you still there? I'm sorry, I'm logging off. This is over." And then you have to
Right,
start from the beginning.
right.
If a meeting happens, if a call comes in, if your dog needs to go for a quick walk, we want that interaction to stay persistent and be able to be picked up where you left off because life is life, and we want to make sure that doesn't get in the way of great customer experiences.
Hmm. I like the way you put that. Elizabeth, that's a lot of good stuff. Where could people go if they want to learn more? Is there a web page?
Yeah, so we have it set up. It's nice.com/go-digital. So that is where you'll be able to find more information and be able to reach out to us if you have any questions.
That's great. Elizabeth, thank you so much for sharing your expertise today. And I hope you come back and talk with us again sometime.
It was a pleasure anytime.